Welcome back, crew, to Boats vs. Haulover, where man and machine take on Mother Nature down at Haulover Inlet, Miami, Florida, and today's going to be an interesting one. We got 3 to 4 foot seas, an outgoing tide, and some of our captains are likely going to struggle, but this Twin V here in round 1 appears to be doing pretty good as it makes its way out of Haulover. I'm starting to like these cats more and more every time I look at them. Let me know your thoughts on the Twin Vs in the comments below. I'm actually thinking about possibly getting one of these as my next boat, so I'm curious to know what you think about them. But here we see how they do at Haulover, and they wind up taking a win in the first round. And that, of course, is going to bring us to the second round of our competition. With that Twin V taking the win in the first round, the boats are going to get an early 1-0 advantage. But here in the second round, the boats are going to toss a cruiser yachts in the ring to see how it fares up against Haulover. So our crew is starting to make their way out. They're kind of taking that slow roll approach. Again, I say this all too often, it feels like. Kind of wish they'd lean into the throttles just a little bit to try and get this bow up, but so far they look pretty good as they make their way just past the jetties. But that's just the start of this, as they're going to have to get out here into the heavier rollers, and unless they lean into those throttles a little bit, they're probably going to be in trouble as that happens. Right now we can see they're bobbing up and down pretty hard. They haven't quite stuffed it yet. We haven't seen any water really come over the front of the bow, but let's see if they can keep that pace up as they continue to work their way out. You can see out in the distance there's a little bit of white caps letting you know that it's a rough day, but here we go. Now we're starting to see some of that spray come over the bow of the boat. They definitely are going to want to lean into the throttles now to try and get that bow up, but they just continue at their same pace, and right here we can tell, man, there's a ton of spray. I guarantee the crew in the front of this boat is starting to get wet. In fact, it looks like they stuffed it on one of the last ones. This is a tough call because we don't have the correct angle. I can't really tell if they actually stuffed it, but man, it sure looks like it on a couple of these. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the side of stuffing, possibly, and I'm going to go ahead and give this crew a loss here in the second round. And that's going to take us to the third round of our competition, tied at 1 apiece. And here in the third round, the boats are going to toss a Dusky in the ring to see how it fares against the Goliath Haulover. Let's go. Round 3, we're going to get it started, and man, they get airborne. This crew takes this boat almost vertical on the first wave. They continue to power through it though and are going to continue to try and make their way out, and they're kind of celebrating on the boat that they made it through that wave. I mean, that was a crazy one. They just kind of plop back down like a cork almost, and unbelievable. But they look like they're having fun, but they're not done yet. They're just outside the mouth of Haulover, and now we get into some of the nastier stuff. As you can see here, they're taking a pounding now. Haulover's throwing everything it's got at them. Looks like we lost the fishing pole off the tower. This is just a rough ride. This crew doesn't look like they're going to wind up stuffing it, but they're going to remember this one. They thought they'd won. Haulover slaps them back at the end, and I'm going to go ahead and give Haulover the win in this one. And that's going to give Haulover a 2-1 edge as we move into the fourth round of the contest. And here in the fourth round, the boats are going to toss a Beneteau in the ring to see if they can get this one tied back up. And here we go, round 4, let's go. And our crew's starting to work their way out. They take a big wave right up front, but they're able to power their way right over the top of it. This is a pretty big boat. It takes a little while to get going and up on plane, and every boat's going to tackle Haulover a little different. And to be honest, for the kind of conditions we have today, what this boat is about to face, this is probably pretty close to the right pace for this vessel. So they continue to power their way out. Again, it's a rough day, but let's see how this vessel fares as it begins to work its way out toward the rollers. Overall, it looks like this crew's not going to have any troubles, and they're going to wind up taking a win for the boats here in the fourth round. And that's going to bring us to the fifth and final round of our competition. We are now tied at 2 apiece. And here in the fifth round, the boats are going to toss an MJM into the ring to see if it can close it out and take a win for the boats. And here we go into the fifth round. Our crew's doing pretty solid right here, trying to keep that bow up. Again, always tough when you're coming back into an inlet, especially when there's a nice heavy chop with a pretty good following sea as we see in these conditions here. You've got to work hard to make sure you don't fall into the trough and have that nose dive in front of you. So far, our crew looks pretty good. They're sitting on top of the water. A little bit of a dangerous spot right here. They're going to fall in, but they keep the bow up, and they're going to wind up taking a win for the boats, and the boats will take the win in this episode. Thanks for watching, crew. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Boats vs. Haulover. If you did, please check out our other content. We have Wavy Boats, who does a bunch of great things down at the inlets. My channel, Broncos Guru, do some great comedy boating videos there as well. And of course, we got the Miami Boat Ramps channel that focuses on all the hilarity that happens in the boat ramps in South Florida. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.